The rain had started just after dawn, a cold October drizzle that turned the Manhattan streets into mirrors of gray light. Malcolm Harrington stood at the floor-to-ceiling windows of his corner office on the 42nd floor, watching the city wake up beneath him like a living organism of steel and ambition. His reflection stared back at him, sharp suit, graying temples, the face of a man who had built an empire from nothing but will and ruthlessness. He was 53 years old, and he owned half the commercial real estate in Lower Manhattan. His company, Harrington Development Group, had transformed entire neighborhoods, displacing the old to make way for the new, the poor to make way for the profitable. Malcolm didn't lose sleep over it. Business was business. Sentiment was a luxury he'd never been able to afford, not when he was clawing his way up from a childhood in the Bronx projects, and certainly not now. His phone buzzed. A text from Maria, his housekeeper. Lily asking for you. Bad morning. Malcolm's jaw tightened. Lily. His daughter. 10 years old and blind since birth, a congenital condition the best doctors in the world couldn't fix. His ex-wife, Veronica, had left them 3 years ago, unable to handle what she called the burden of a broken child. Those words still burned in Malcolm's chest like acid. He texted back, tell her I'll be home by 7. Meeting running late. It was a lie. He had no meetings. But the truth was harder to admit. He didn't know how to be around his daughter anymore. Every time he looked at Lily's unseeing eyes, he saw his own failure. All his money, all his power, and he couldn't give her the one thing that mattered. By noon, Malcolm was in his chauffeured Mercedes, heading uptown for a property inspection. The development in question was a block of old brownstones in Hell's Kitchen, soon to be luxury condominiums. The tenants had been evicted months ago, most of them elderly or working-class families who couldn't afford lawyers. Malcolm had learned long ago not to think about where they went. Traffic stalled near Central Park. Malcolm drummed his fingers on the leather armrest, irritated. His driver, Vincent, apologized quietly. Accident up ahead, sir. Should clear in 10 minutes. Malcolm grunted, pulling out his tablet to review contracts. But something outside the window caught his attention. A small crowd had gathered on the sidewalk near the park entrance, forming a loose semicircle around something he couldn't quite see. What's going on there? Malcolm asked, more to himself than Vincent. Street performer, probably, Vincent said. Want me to find another route? No. Wait. Malcolm leaned closer to the window. Through the drizzle and the shifting bodies he saw her. A woman, maybe in her late 40s, though the streets had aged her in ways that made it hard to tell. She wore layers of mismatched clothing, a faded purple coat over what looked like 3 sweaters, canvas pants torn at the knees, boots held together with duct tape. Her hair, streaked with gray, was pulled back in a messy braid. Her face was weathered, lined with the kind of exhaustion that came from sleeping on concrete and eating from dumpsters. But she was dancing. No, not just dancing, she was moving with a grace that seemed impossible given her circumstances. Her arms swept through the air like wings, her feet traced patterns on the wet pavement, and despite the rain, despite the cold, despite everything, there was something transcendent about the way she moved. It wasn't professional or polished. It was raw and honest, like watching someone's soul express itself through motion. The small crowd watched in silence, mesmerized. Malcolm felt something unfamiliar stir in his chest. He pushed it down. Let's go, he said. Find another route. But as Vincent pulled away, Malcolm found himself looking back, watching the homeless woman dance until the traffic swallowed the scene from view. He came home that evening to find Lily in the living room, sitting cross-legged on the carpet with her hands pressed against the hardwood floor. She did this sometimes, touching surfaces, trying to understand the world through texture and vibration. Maria sat nearby, folding laundry, her kind face creased with worry. Papa? Lily said, turning her head toward the sound of the door. She never looked directly at him. Her eyes, a pale gray blue, stared just past his shoulder. I'm here, sweetheart, Malcolm said, kneeling beside her. He touched her shoulder gently, the way he'd learned to do, always announcing his presence through touch so she wouldn't startle. I heard music today, Lily said. Her voice was soft, careful. From the park. Maria took me for a walk and I heard someone singing. It was beautiful. Malcolm glanced at Maria, who nodded. There was a woman, Maria explained quietly, by the fountain, singing and moving. Lily stopped to listen for almost 20 minutes. I've never seen her so still and focused. Lily's small hand reached out, finding her father's. Papa, what does dancing look like? The question hit Malcolm like a fist to the sternum. He opened his mouth then closed it. How do you describe color to someone who's never seen light? How do you explain movement to someone who only knows the world through sound and touch? It's like music but with your body, he said finally, feeling inadequate. You move to express what you feel. Can I learn? Lily asked, her face turning toward him with such hope that Malcolm felt his heart crack. I'll look into classes, he said, knowing even as he spoke that he wouldn't. Every dance instructor they'd consulted had said the same thing. Teaching a blind child to dance was too difficult, too specialized, not worth the liability. Lily's face fell. She was young, but she'd learned to read the hesitation in her father's voice. Okay, Papa, she whispered, pulling her hand away. Malcolm couldn't stop thinking about the homeless woman. Over the next few days, between board meetings and property acquisitions, he found his mind drifting back to that rainy afternoon, to the way she'd moved with such freedom despite having nothing. It bothered him in a way he couldn't articulate. There was an accusation in that image, a challenge to everything he'd built his life around. On Thursday he did something he hadn't done in years. He left work early. Vincent, take me to Central Park, he said. The entrance near West 72nd. Vincent didn't ask questions. They drove in silence through the afternoon traffic, and Malcolm told himself he was just curious, nothing more. When they arrived, he told Vincent to wait and stepped out onto the sidewalk. The park was busy with the late afternoon crowd, joggers, dog walkers, parents pushing strollers. Malcolm walked along the path, feeling absurdly out of place in his $3,000 suit. He didn't know what he was looking for until he found it. She was there in the same spot, dancing to music only she could hear. Today she wore a different combination of layers, a green army jacket over a torn flannel shirt, jeans stained with street grime. Her boots were the same, held together with silver tape. She had a small cardboard sign propped against a tree nearby. Asterisk, nothing Tio give but beauty. God bless. Asterisk, a coffee cup sat beside the sign, containing a few scattered coins. Malcolm stopped about 20 feet away, partially hidden behind a tree, watching. There were only a few people paying attention. A young couple who paused briefly before moving on, an elderly man who dropped $1 into the cup. But the woman didn't seem to notice or care about the audience. She danced with her eyes closed, her weathered face tilted toward the pale October sky, completely absorbed in whatever inner music guided her movements. There was no artifice in it, no performance. This wasn't someone trying to earn money or impress strangers. This was someone dancing because dancing was the only thing keeping her alive. Malcolm felt something break open inside him, some calcified chamber of his heart he'd sealed shut years ago. He thought of Lily asking what dancing looked like. He thought of Veronica calling their daughter broken. He thought of all the people he'd displaced, all the lives he'd disrupted in the name of progress and profit. For the first time in decades, Malcolm Harrington felt ashamed. He went back the next day, and the day after that. Always at the same time, always watching from a distance. The woman, he didn't know her name, was there every afternoon unless the weather was truly brutal. She danced alone, lost in her private reverie, asking nothing from anyone but the space to exist and move. On the third day, Malcolm brought Lily. Maria had looked at him strangely when he told her his plan, but she'd helped Lily into her coat without questions. Now father and daughter stood at the edge of the small plaza, Malcolm's hand resting protectively on Lily's shoulder. "Do you hear it, sweetheart?" Malcolm asked quietly. Lily tilted her head, listening. There was no music playing, the woman danced to silence, but Lily's face lit up with recognition. "The singing lady," she whispered. "From before." "She's not singing today," Malcolm said. "She's dancing." "I can hear her," Lily said, and Malcolm realized she was right. The woman's movements made their own kind of sound, the rustle of her layered clothing, the soft scrape of her boots on pavement, even her breathing. Lily was hearing the dance in a way Malcolm never could. They watched for 10 minutes. Lily stood perfectly still, her head moving slightly as she tracked the sounds. Malcolm watched his daughter's face, seeing wonder there, seeing hunger. Finally he stepped forward. The homeless woman didn't notice him approach until he was just a few feet away. Her eyes opened, dark brown, surprisingly clear and alert, and she stopped mid-movement, her arms falling slowly to her sides. Up close, Malcolm could see the lines around her eyes, the weathered texture of her skin, the missing tooth when she parted her lips in surprise. "I'm sorry to interrupt," Malcolm said, his voice rougher than he intended. "My daughter, she wanted to hear you dance." The woman's gaze moved past Malcolm to Lily, who stood a few paces back, her hands clasped in front of her, her sightless eyes aimed somewhere near the ground. If you found yourself moved by this story so far, I want to invite you to become part of our community. Please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. These stories are meant to remind us of our shared humanity, and I'd be honored to have you join us for more. Your presence here matters. Something shifted in the woman's expression. Recognition, perhaps, or understanding. She walked toward Lily with slow, careful steps, and Malcolm instinctively moved to intervene, then stopped himself. "Hello, little one," the woman said. Her voice was hoarse but gentle, roughened by years of exposure but still carrying warmth. "My name is Dorothy. What's yours?" "Lily," his daughter whispered. "That's a beautiful name," Dorothy said. "Like the flower. Did you really come to hear me dance?" Lily nodded, then added quietly, "I can't see it, but I can hear it. You move like water." Dorothy's face crumpled for just a moment, a flash of emotion so raw that Malcolm had to look away. When he looked back, she had composed herself, but her eyes were bright with unshed tears. "Would you like to learn?" Dorothy asked. Lily's voice trembled. "Everyone says I can't. Because I'm blind." "Everyone is wrong," Dorothy said simply. "Dance isn't about seeing. It's about feeling. Come here, sweetheart. Give me your hands." Lily hesitated, turning her face toward where she knew her father stood. Malcolm found himself nodding even though she couldn't see it. "It's okay," he said. "Go ahead." Lily stepped forward, her hands outstretched. Dorothy took them gently, placing them against her own arms. "Feel how I move," Dorothy said. "Dance is just the body speaking a language older than words. You don't need eyes for that. You just need to listen to what your body wants to say." And then she began to move. Slowly at first, just swaying side to side, letting Lily feel the rhythm through their connected hands. Dorothy hummed, a low, wordless melody, and gradually her movements expanded. She lifted one arm and Lily's hand traveled with it, tracking the arc. She turned and Lily turned with her, stumbling a little but laughing in surprise. "That's it," Dorothy encouraged. "You're not following me. We're moving together. Feel the difference." Malcolm stood frozen, watching his daughter dance for the first time in her life. Lily's face was radiant, transformed by joy. She moved awkwardly without grace, but with such unguarded happiness that Malcolm felt his vision blur. They danced for 20 minutes, Dorothy and Lily, homeless woman and blind child, two people the world had written off as broken or worthless, moving together in the fading October light. A small crowd gathered again, watching in silence, sensing they were witnessing something sacred. When Dorothy finally stopped, breathing hard, Lily was breathless with excitement. "Papa, did you see?" she cried, turning toward Malcolm's voice. "I was dancing." "I saw, sweetheart," Malcolm managed, his voice thick. "You were beautiful." Dorothy was bent over, hands on her knees, catching her breath. Malcolm approached her, pulling out his wallet. He withdrew several $100 bills, all the cash he had, and tried to press them into her hand. Dorothy looked at the money, then at Malcolm, then gently pushed his hand away. "I don't want your money," she said quietly. Malcolm stared at her, confused. "But you need." "What I need," Dorothy said. "Straightening up isn't something you can buy. Your daughter gave me something today. A reason to remember why I still dance. That's worth more than whatever's in your wallet." Malcolm felt like he'd been slapped. "Then what can I do? How can I thank you?" Dorothy smiled, and despite the missing tooth and weathered face, it was luminous. "Bring her back tomorrow," she said. "Let me teach her more. That's all the thanks I need." They came back the next day, and the next, and the one after that. Every afternoon at 4 o'clock, Malcolm would bring Lily to the park, and Dorothy would be waiting. Sometimes they drew a crowd, sometimes they danced alone, but always Dorothy moved with Lily hand in hand, teaching her not just steps but confidence, not just rhythm but joy. Malcolm learned pieces of Dorothy's story gradually, in fragments shared between lessons. She'd been a dancer once, classically trained, with a career that had taken her across Europe. Then came the injury, a torn ACL that ended her professional life. Then the descent, depression, divorce, financial ruin, addiction, homelessness. She'd been on the streets for 7 years. "Why do you still dance?" Malcolm asked one evening as they watched Lily practice a turn, her small hands gripping Dorothy's calloused fingers. Dorothy was quiet for a long moment. "Because it's the only thing they couldn't take from me," she said finally. "The streets took my dignity. Poverty took my choices. But nobody could take away what lives inside me. The music, the movement, the thing that makes me human. Dancing reminds me I'm still alive. That I still matter." Malcolm felt something fundamental shift in his understanding of the world. All his life, he'd measured worth in dollars and square footage, in assets and acquisitions. He'd looked at people like Dorothy, if he looked at them at all, and seen only waste, only failure. He'd never considered that they might possess something he'd lost. The ability to find meaning in the immaterial, to create beauty without compensation, to give without expectation of return. "I want to help you," Malcolm said. "Let me help you get off the streets." "I can." "No," Dorothy interrupted gently but firmly. "I appreciate the thought. But I don't need saving, Mr. Harrington. I need purpose. You've given me that already." "Call me Malcolm," he said. "Please." She smiled. "Malcolm then. You know what the difference is between us? You're rich in everything except time. I'm poor in everything except time. Maybe that's why Lily needed both of us." 3 weeks into their daily lessons, something happened that changed everything. It was a Tuesday, unseasonably cold, and Malcolm had arrived early with Lily, both of them bundled against the wind. Dorothy wasn't at her usual spot. Malcolm felt an unexpected spike of anxiety. She'd never missed a lesson before. They waited. 10 minutes. 20. Lily grew restless, confused. "Where's Dorothy?" she asked. "Papa, where is she?" "I don't know, sweetheart," Malcolm said, scanning the park paths with growing concern. Then he heard shouting. 2 men in security uniforms were approaching across the plaza, and between them, resisting their grip, was Dorothy. Her face was bruised, her lips split. One of the guards was dragging her by the arm while she tried to pull away. "No," she was saying. "Please, I wasn't hurting anyone. I was just..." "You were trespassing," the guard snapped. "This is private property. The Park Conservancy doesn't want homeless people here harassing tourists." "I wasn't harassing anyone," Dorothy protested. "I was just dancing." The guard twisted her arm and Dorothy cried out in pain. Something erupted inside Malcolm Harrington. He was across the plaza in seconds, moving faster than he had in years, his voice coming out in a roar that made both guards freeze. "Let her go. Now." The guards turned, seeing a man in an expensive overcoat, face flushed with fury. One of them started to speak. "Sir, this doesn't concern." "I said let her go." Malcolm's voice could have shattered glass. "Do you have any idea who I am?" It was the kind of line Malcolm had used 1,000 times in boardrooms and negotiations, wielding his identity like a weapon. But this time it came from a different place, not ego but righteous anger. The guards released Dorothy, who stumbled back, cradling her twisted arm. Malcolm was beside her immediately, steadying her with surprising gentleness. "Are you hurt?" he asked, his voice dropping to something softer. "I'm okay," Dorothy said, but tears were streaming down her weathered face. "They said I was loitering. They said people complained. They said wrong," Malcolm interrupted. He turned back to the guards, who were looking uncertain now, sensing they'd made a mistake. "This woman is a friend of mine. She's here at my invitation. If anyone has a problem with that, they can take it up with me directly. My name is Malcolm Harrington. I own half the buildings you can see from here. Do we understand each other?" The guards mumbled apologies and retreated. Malcolm turned back to Dorothy, and for the first time in 3 weeks, he really looked at her, not as a curiosity or a charity case but as a person. A person who was shaking now, the adrenaline fading, leaving only exhaustion and humiliation. "Come with me," Malcolm said. It wasn't a request. I know some of you watching have your own stories of unexpected encounters, of people who changed your perspective when you least expected it. I'd love to hear them. Please share in the comments below. Your stories matter, and they might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing and turning on notifications. These moments of shared humanity are what keep us connected. Malcolm took Dorothy and Lily to a small cafe on the edge of the park. The hostess gave Dorothy a disapproving look, but one glance from Malcolm silenced any objections. They sat at a corner table, Dorothy's hands wrapped around a cup of hot coffee, Lily pressed close to her father's side. "You can't keep doing this," Malcolm said after a long silence. "Living on the streets, getting harassed, beaten. What choice do I have?" Dorothy asked tiredly. "The shelters are full. The waiting list for housing assistance is 2 years long. I don't have family. I don't have options." "You have me," Malcolm said, surprising himself with the words. "Let me help you. Really help you. I'll find you an apartment, help you get back on your feet. I don't want to be your charity project," Dorothy said, but her voice lacked conviction. She was tired. So tired. "It's not charity," Malcolm said. "It's payment. For what you've given Lily. For what you've given me." Dorothy looked at him, searching his face for something. Whatever she saw there must have satisfied her, because she nodded slowly. "Okay," she whispered. "Okay." The next 3 months transformed all their lives. Malcolm found Dorothy a small studio apartment in a building he owned in Queens. Nothing fancy but clean, warm, with a real bed and a bathroom and a door that locked. He hired a social worker to help her navigate the bureaucracy of getting identification, accessing benefits, dealing with the trauma of 7 years on the streets. Dorothy resisted his help at first, proud and uncomfortable with dependence. But Malcolm learned to offer assistance in ways that preserved her dignity, framing things as exchanges rather than gifts, asking for her advice on Lily's development, treating her as a partner rather than a project. And Dorothy continued teaching Lily to dance. They met 3 times a week now, sometimes in the park when weather permitted, sometimes in the community center Malcolm quietly funded. Dorothy taught Lily ballet basics, modern dance, even elements of the classical training she'd received decades ago. But more than technique, she taught Lily confidence. The bone-deep knowledge that her blindness didn't define her limitations, that she could move through the world with grace and power. Lily flourished. The shy, hesitant child who'd sat on the floor pressing her hands to the ground transformed into someone radiant with possibility. She laughed more. She asked for less. She walked with her head up, no longer apologizing for the space she occupied. Malcolm watched his daughter bloom and felt his own frozen places begin to thaw. He started seeing the city differently, not as a game board of acquisitions and opportunities, but as a living ecosystem of human beings, each carrying invisible stories of pain and perseverance. The homeless man on his corner became George, a veteran with PTSD. The woman who cleaned his office became Teresa, supporting 3 kids on her own. They stopped being background characters in his narrative and became people. It was uncomfortable. It made everything more complicated. But it also made everything more real. 6 months after that first afternoon in the park, Malcolm made a decision that shocked everyone who knew him. He was in the middle of finalizing the Hell's Kitchen development, the luxury condominiums that would replace those old brownstones, when he looked at the contracts on his desk and thought about Dorothy. About what it meant to be displaced, to have your home taken by forces beyond your control, to be told you no longer mattered because you couldn't afford to stay. He thought about dignity, about humanity, about the difference between being rich and being whole. Malcolm picked up the phone and called his head attorney. "Cancel the Hell's Kitchen project," he said. There was a long pause. "Sir, we've already invested. I know what we've invested. Cancel it. And draw up plans for something different. Affordable housing. Real affordable housing, not the fake kind where affordable means $500,000. I want units people can actually live in." Another pause. "Mr. Harrington, that's not the profit margins." "I don't care about the profit margins," Malcolm said and realized he meant it. "Just do it." He hung up and sat back in his chair, his heart racing. His board would revolt. His shareholders would call him insane. He'd probably take a significant financial hit. But for the first time in years, Malcolm Harrington felt like he could breathe. The recital happened on a warm June evening, almost 9 months after that rainy October afternoon. Dorothy had been working with Lily for months on a special piece. A simple but beautiful dance set to a piano sonata, choreographed specifically for Lily's abilities and limitations. It would be performed at the community center, open to the public, free admission. Malcolm arrived early, his stomach tight with nerves. He'd invited Maria, some colleagues, a few neighbors. He hadn't been sure anyone would come. The small auditorium was packed. Apparently, word had spread about the blind girl and the homeless dance teacher, about the unlikely friendship that had captured people's imaginations. Local news had picked up the story. Social media had amplified it. Now there were over 100 people in the audience, waiting to witness something extraordinary. Malcolm sat in the front row, his hands clasped so tightly his knuckles were white. The lights dimmed. The piano began. And Lily walked onto the stage. She moved slowly, counting steps the way Dorothy had taught her, finding her center on the stage through memory and practice. She wore a simple white dress, her hair pulled back, her face serene. For a moment she stood perfectly still, listening to the music. Then she began to dance. It wasn't perfect. Her movements were sometimes hesitant, her turns not quite aligned, her arms occasionally uncertain. But none of that mattered. What mattered was the joy radiating from her, the complete unself-conscious beauty of a child who had learned to trust her body, to trust the music, to trust herself. Dorothy stood in the wings, tears streaming down her face, whispering the counts Lily had memorized. But Lily didn't need the prompts. She'd internalized the dance. It lived in her now. The audience watched in absolute silence, mesmerized. When the final notes faded and Lily completed her last pose, arms extended, face lifted toward the ceiling, a smile of pure triumph on her lips, the auditorium erupted in applause. Malcolm was on his feet, tears pouring down his face, clapping until his hands hurt. Around him, strangers were crying, cheering, celebrating not just a performance but a victory over limitation, over prejudice, over the lie that some people don't matter. Lily took a bow, turning in the direction of the applause she couldn't see but could feel vibrating through the stage. Then she walked carefully to the wings, and Dorothy caught her in a fierce embrace. Malcolm made his way backstage, pushing through well-wishers and journalists. He found Dorothy and Lily together, holding each other, both crying and laughing. "Papa!" Lily cried when she heard his voice. She broke away from Dorothy and found her father, throwing her arms around his waist. "Did you see? Did you see me dance?" "I saw, sweetheart," Malcolm said, kneeling to hold her properly. "You were magnificent. You were perfect." "Dorothy made me brave," Lily said simply. Malcolm looked up at Dorothy, who stood watching them with an expression of such profound tenderness that it nearly undid him. "Thank you," he said to her, his voice breaking. "Thank you for giving me back my daughter. Thank you for teaching me what really matters." Dorothy smiled, the same luminous smile she'd given him that first day in the park. "You always knew what mattered, Malcolm," she said gently. "You'd just forgotten how to see it. All I did was dance." The story could end there, with the recital and the applause and the transformation complete. But life rarely offers such neat conclusions. 3 weeks after the performance, Dorothy collapsed. Malcolm got the call at work. She'd been found unconscious in her apartment, rushed to the hospital. He dropped everything and went immediately, Lily with him, both of them terrified. The diagnosis was cancer. Advanced, aggressive, inoperable. The doctors estimated she had perhaps 3 months. Malcolm felt the world tilt beneath him. He'd lost so much already. His marriage, his certainty, the comfortable numbness that had insulated him from pain. He couldn't lose Dorothy too. Lily couldn't lose Dorothy. But sometimes, despite all our power and resources, we can't fix what's broken. Sometimes all we can do is be present for the breaking. Dorothy faced her diagnosis with the same quiet grace she'd brought to dancing in the rain, to teaching a blind child, to surviving 7 years on the streets. She refused to see it as tragedy. "I got 9 extra months," she told Malcolm one afternoon as they sat in her hospital room, Lily asleep in a chair nearby. 9 months of having a home, a purpose, a reason to wake up. 9 months of watching that beautiful girl learn to fly. How many people get a gift like that at the end? "It's not enough," Malcolm said, his voice thick. "It's not fair." "No," Dorothy agreed. "But nothing is. The question isn't whether it's fair. The question is whether it matters." And Malcolm, it mattered. Every second mattered. She died on a Tuesday morning in early autumn, with Malcolm and Lily beside her, holding her hands. Her funeral was small but overflowing, not just with the people she'd touched in her last months, but with ghosts from her previous life. Former dance colleagues who'd thought her dead, shelter workers who'd tried to help her, street people who'd shared her invisible existence. They came to honor someone the world had discarded but who had never stopped being extraordinary. Malcolm spoke at the service, something he'd never imagined doing. He talked about grace and dignity, about the difference between having everything and being rich, about how a homeless woman had taught him to see again. "Dorothy gave my daughter the ability to dance," he said, his voice echoing in the small chapel. "But she gave me something even more precious. She reminded me that every person you pass on the street, every face you ignore, every life you consider disposable, every single one is carrying something sacred. Everyone matters. Everyone is dancing their own dance, whether we stop to watch or not." Lily insisted on dancing at the funeral. Malcolm had tried to dissuade her, worried it would be too much, too painful. But she'd been adamant. "Dorothy would want me to," she'd said simply. "She'd want me to keep dancing." So in front of the assembled mourners, Lily danced the same piece she'd performed at her recital, moving with more confidence now, more grace, her body remembering everything Dorothy had taught her. She danced alone but not lonely, her small figure moving through space with a certainty that defied her blindness. It was the most beautiful thing Malcolm had ever witnessed. A year later, Malcolm stood in front of a new building in Hell's Kitchen. It wasn't the luxury development he'd originally planned. Instead, it was something unprecedented for his company. A mixed-income housing complex with units set aside specifically for people transitioning out of homelessness. The ground floor contained a community center with a free dance studio. Above the entrance, a plaque read, "The Dorothy Chin Community Center. Everyone is dancing their own dance." Lily stood beside him, now 11 years old, taller, more confident. She still took dance lessons, with a teacher Malcolm had found who specialized in working with blind students. But she also taught classes herself, working with other children who'd been told they couldn't do something because of their differences. "Is it beautiful, Papa?" Lily asked, sensing his emotion even if she couldn't see the building. "It's perfect, sweetheart," Malcolm said. "Dorothy would have loved it." "I think she already knows," Lily said simply. "I think she can see me dancing." Malcolm put his arm around his daughter, and together they walked into the building, into a space dedicated to the radical idea that everyone deserves dignity, opportunity, and a place to dance. The story of the CEO and the homeless woman spread far beyond that single community. News outlets picked it up. It became the kind of viral moment that captures imaginations, that makes people reconsider their assumptions about worth and value in human connection. But Malcolm learned something important in the months that followed. Transformation isn't a single moment. It's a choice you make every day. Every day he had to choose to see people rather than obstacles. Every day he had to choose compassion over convenience, humanity over profit. Some days were easier than others. Some days he failed. But Dorothy's voice stayed with him. Everyone is dancing their own dance, and it guided him back when he lost his way. Malcolm restructured his company to focus on socially responsible development. He took financial hits. He lost investors. But he gained something more valuable, the ability to look at himself in the mirror and not see a stranger. He started volunteering at homeless shelters, not writing checks from a distance but actually showing up, serving food, listening to stories. He discovered what Dorothy had known, that the people society discards are often the ones carrying the most profound wisdom. He remained wealthy. You don't undo decades of success overnight, but he started using that wealth differently. Not to accumulate more but to create space for others to flourish. And every year on the anniversary of Dorothy's death, Malcolm and Lily returned to that spot in Central Park where it all began. They brought flowers. They brought music. And Lily danced, not in sadness, but in celebration of a life that had touched theirs and changed everything. If you've stayed with us through this entire journey, thank you. Truly. These stories are meant to do more than entertain. They're meant to challenge us, to remind us of the humanity we share, to inspire us to see the world and each other with fresh eyes. If this story moved you, I want to invite you to be part of something bigger. Subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications so you never miss these moments of reflection and connection. Leave a comment below sharing how this story affected you, or tell us about a time when someone unexpected changed your perspective. Your voice matters here. And please share this story with someone who needs to hear it. Someone who's forgotten their own worth, or someone who's forgotten to see worth in others. We're all dancing our own dances even when the world can't see us moving. The question is, will we stop to witness each other's beauty? Will we extend our hands? Will we remember that every person we encounter is carrying something sacred? Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for choosing to see.